So, hello everyone. Welcome to our next article discussion club that we are running um, in cooperation with the Active Learning and Teaching of Foreign Languages in Uzbekistan journal in Uzbekistan. So, and we have Firuza Ahmedova, who is the facilitator of this article discussion, and she will introduce the today's author and the guest speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadirapa. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today's article discussion club. As you have been informed, today's guest speaker is Maftuna Artikova. And we are discussing her research article, Language Acquisition and Personality Types, EFL Learners in Uzbekistan. So I would like briefly tell about Maftuna. So Maftuna is IELTS and EFL teacher at RIX Education Center, and currently she studies at Webster University in Tashkent. I would like to ask Maftuna to tell more about her interests and teaching philosophy or teaching interests and something else if she would like. Okay, Maftuna, so just as an introduction, you can speak more about you and then we will move on to discussion.
Thank you very much, Feruza. Actually, I have been teaching English for more than 12 years already. And my teaching experience varies from teaching general English, ESP, and then now IELTS as well. Throughout my career, I have worked in several different places, starting from Institute of Languages, later at Military Academy of Armed Forces of Uzbekistan, and then now I'm working at Private Language Center as EFL and IELTS instructor. And my teaching philosophy is mainly based on not only teaching, but also providing opportunity for my learners to actually apply all their skills and to use their skills optimally to the benefit of their language development. And I may not always rely on certain methods or certain teaching approach, as long as considering my context and considering my learners, I can always adapt my teaching styles and teaching methods. If any of the teaching methods do not work, I can create my own method of teaching. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Maftuna. Dear colleagues, this time we are going to discuss a research article. If you remember, in our previous discussion clubs, we referred mostly to reflective articles. Well, I believe that today's article discussion also will be interesting and engaging like previous ones. Well, Maftuna, I hope you will answer all the questions with enthusiasm. And I hope most of our participants have read the article. Okay, so Maftuna, can we start with the first question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. So the questions will be displayed, okay, so that you could read if it is not clear. So the first question is, we all have read your article and the topic is very interesting. And I would like to ask you, what motivated you to conduct research on this particular topic? And is it your research interest, or if no, or even if yes, what are your other research interests? So we would like first to know about this.
Thank you, Feruza, very much. So actually, there are several reasons I would mention that that are behind my motivation to conduct this research. First of all, as I mentioned in my article, this is my personal observations throughout my teaching career. My observations of my learners, their achievements and their progress, and sometimes their failure as well, and trying to understand what might be the possible reasons, what might be the possible factors that actually affect their, for example, failure or achievement. Because sometimes you are like, I have been several times disappointed when my most active learners, my most like, in my opinion, my best learners end up failing the examinations, while the learners who felt not that engaged during the classrooms, who are in most cases reluctant, can actually achieve success in the examinations. And I thought, what might be the reason for that? And by observing my learners, I somehow make conclusions on my own. This might be partly because of their personality. But later, when I started my study, one of my first modules was SLA theories, which is second language acquisition theories. And we were assigned to a case study. And we were free to choose one of the SLA areas. And I chose individual differences. Along with all those differences like age, gender, like motivation, learner styles, personality types is one of the factors that can actually affect second language acquisition. And I thought this is like a great opportunity for me to dive into this area deeper and to get the answer to my questions. So, and then I conducted my research. Actually, this is not the only area that I'm interested in currently. There are many other areas as well. Currently, I'm on the stage of like brainstorming. I'm interested in assessment as well, in particular using synthesis writing and assessment, since it's one of the most reliable ways of assessing learners' language proficiency. Language levels. And another area I'm thinking about conducting research is, again, this is the role of instructions in developing synthesis writing. Because during my own experience and by consulting with many of my colleagues and some researchers, I found out that this is the area which is the least investigated. And this is a skill which many of our learners have the problem with when they go to the university level, because we don't teach them until they go to the higher education, until they start their research. And when they start like writing literature reviews, they got like lost for a while, and because I think they need some experience in this area. So that's it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. You have mentioned several research interests, Maftuna, and interesting question came up to my mind. If you decided to pursue PhD, which of these research interests would be the dominant? What do you think?
Firuza, I'm afraid I cannot answer your question right now.
Really?
Because I need more background reading and more investigation to choose which is the most needed area in our context.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Well, next question. Well, Maftuna, you have mentioned that, yeah, you talked about introverts and extrovert students, and you mentioned that you believe that we need to come up with appropriate approach for both type of students, right? Could you please tell more about such kind of approach? What did you mean? How we should approach introverts or extroverts? Or can you give some more examples about this kind of approach, please?
Okay. So I could compare, or I could explain it by like differentiated instructions that we usually use in our classrooms, yes? Because we know that our classrooms are quite diverse, and learners come from different like language learning experiences. They have different learner styles, they have different motivations to study the languages, and they have different preferences and interests. And we usually differentiate our instructions to meet individual needs, by which I mean that we usually differentiate content, yes, what we are teaching. For example, if we compare their language levels, because we usually have multi-level groups, right? And we usually differentiate the process, how we are teaching, considering, let's say, learner styles, because we have auditory learners, visual learners, kinesthetic learners. We should provide them with equal opportunity to like develop their skills. And we can differentiate learning environments. And here I would like to mention about personality types, because as I have written in my article, extroverted learners are those who like to work in a team, who like to socialize, who cannot live without people. They always relate everything to the like people, right? They enjoy working in a group. However, introverted learners are more like observant learners, and they like working individually. They may feel a bit uncomfortable when they are in a group. While we are organizing the activities in our classrooms, we should not force those introverted learners to join the large group and to work with them. But we would rather start the process by by assigning them peer work while others may work in a group. And while pairing, we should also consider that who they feel comfortable with to work. And gradually we can cultivate the skill of interacting with the others. Another thing we can do is considering personality types, we can actually vary our assessment. For example, let's say different types of personalities usually affect in productive skills, right? While assessing productive skills. Since extroverted learners tend to speak more, tend to communicate more, and they do not feel shy to express themselves, while introverted learners may have difficulties. So we can give them different, let's say, prompts in both writing and speaking. Let's say the topic is describe an important event that happened recently, right? For extroverted learners, we can give what was the event and who did you go with? This is very important because they usually they do not do anything alone. They usually prefer it by accompanying others. And what did you see and do? Because they always actively participate in the different kind of events. For introverted learners who are more who tend to reflect on their inner side, not their experiences with other people, we can adapt it a little bit. For example, when it comes to last question, who did you see or what did you see and how did you feel about? These provide them equal opportunity both in writing and speaking to apply their skills, and this would be like fair chance for them to perform. And what else? Or we can also, while we are planning our courses, while we are planning our lessons, we can actually promote certain positive aspects of both personality types, but not like highlighting it. For example, let's say we organize group work project, and by sharing the tasks, the group really did a great job. We should organize reflective activity where we can ask them to analyze what were the reasons for their success. Why they did such a great job? Because when they are working in a group, one person may be very good at creating new ideas, generating ideas. Another person might be great at putting these ideas on the paper, like drawing. And another person might be very good at like connecting all these ideas in order to like develop like central topic of the project, right? So by these, we can actually promote how teamwork can be beneficial. And when they see these, introverted learners can also gradually like start working in a groups. Or another very like positive aspect of introverted learners, which is like they are very good at using strategies, learning strategies. And they are very good at monitoring, self-analyzing. We can promote this aspect as well. Little by little, we can promote the positive aspects of both personality types if we are aware of our learners. That's it for now.
Okay. Maftuna, I was enjoying listening to your detailed explanation and very interesting, handy examples. Well, and it is not difficult to notice how experienced teacher you are. Dear participants, all of us encounter such kind of types of students. If you would like to share your experiences with your introvert and extrovert students, you're welcome to comment, or even if you wish, you can speak. Here we can read some comments. Sandra, what an insightful idea to give different prompts depending on their personalities. Thank you, Sandra, for your comment. So these participants, again, you are welcome with your comments, questions, ideas. Okay. Thank you. And now let's move on to the next question. In the meantime, so please prepare your own questions, dear colleagues. Okay. Maftuna, now let's go back to your research again. To what extent do you think that your research findings impact your previous conceptions, like your thoughts, your ideas about the influence of personality types on language success? Now and so earlier, how did you feel about this?
Well, honestly, I was also superficially thinking that extroverted learners are more successful language learners because of their sociable nature, because of their willingness to communicate, and their performance is observable since they always ready to show what they have learned, and they are always ready to like express to practice what they have learned. They want to like show every time. Therefore, I also like thought that they are better at language learning. However, after conducting this research, I have changed my mind completely. I mean, before even starting to conducting the research, before seeing my own results, while I have been doing a lot of background reading, I thought, oh my God, there are so many things I just hadn't known about these personality types and their influence actually in language learning. Now I know that I was so wrong saying that one is better than the other. Actually, they both have equal chances and opportunities in succeeding language learning if they are able to use their strong points properly. For example, if introverted learners develop their communication skills, because they are usually good at other skills like reading, writing, receptive skills, and they are very good at concentrating on one thing at a time. However, extroverted learners are usually tend to multitasking, which is not a good idea. And if they consciously knowing their strengths and weak points, if they consciously start to develop their strong points, they both have great chances to succeed language learning. As teachers and facilitators, we should gradually help them to develop their weak strong points, and at the same time support them to work on their weaknesses by proper organizing our instructions. Did I answer your question, Firuza?
Firuza?
I think she lost her.
Yeah, I think she had some technical problems. Yeah, thank you so much. It's really great. I'm sorry. It's a really great conclusion to make. And here we have, maybe we can take some of the comments while waiting for Firuza, right? So Sandra says, what an insightful idea to give different prompts depending on their personalities. And Hilola is saying, one of my 11-year-old students used to be introverted students, like don't touch me types. Then talking to his mom about the problem really helped. Apparently they had a talk with his parents. He turned into a very active and funny boy. Okay. So what do you think about this? Like, can a person change the personality? Have you observed that in your kind of classroom?
Actually, changing personality is very challenging, I think.
Personality type, right?
Yes, because they are born with this personality, with certain personality, although they have got the chances to develop consciously understanding that they cannot benefit from this certain aspect of the personality. They can develop this one which can actually help them to succeed. But for this, they need some support from the teachers.
Yes, and it probably takes time, right? So and yeah, you're right. I think it depends on the context also, right? In some contexts, people feel much safer and they kind of feel that they can take risks more, right? So whereas in others they might feel kind of resistant. Okay, another comment here. Yeah, Timur is saying, do you want me to read this, or would you like to voice your comment, Timur? Yeah, it shouldn't be, one way. It's a practical discussion. Would you like to unmute yourself and share your experience?
Yes. Hello, everybody. I would like to share my teaching experience with a student that I was teaching for about 2 years, and she had a problem. She stuttering, when she wanted. She wants to talk, to say something or pronounce. She usually have problems with sounds like p and b, and she always is always stopping. when she wants to deliver a speech. And suddenly I was a follower on Instagram, and she shared her videos on TikTok where she imitating American TV series. There are subtitles, and she repeats them. And I said, wow, she's talking without stopping. It was like a discovery for me, and I suggested to continue such kind of learning. And after that, she became so self-confident and started to speak. Of course, she has problems. It's like a problem that never goes. And some signs, even I have read a lot of articles about that and talked to her parents. They said that it is an inner problem. Only she can solve this problem by herself. Even psychologists cannot help with that. And one way to become extrovert, yes, to become her, to open up, it is to provide a learning environment for her to believe in herself. So, and it was like, discovered that TikTok, yes, it's nowadays it's very popular among youngsters, and it is helpful actually.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Timur, for sharing. Yeah, Maftuna, would you like to comment?
Yes, actually, although TikTok is something that many of us are so worried about nowadays, it can actually also benefit, yes, in one way or another. And since majority of our youngsters are so much addicted to technologies today, they actually are using it for their own benefit, which is great. Yes, good experience. Thank you, Timur, for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. I also found this. One thing is technology helps, right? So that they can practice it in a safe environment, right? Because they can practice it again and again before posting it, right? Before making it public, right? And, they don't have this intimidation when they are recording it, right? So they don't have 10 people, right, looking at them, right? So, yeah, and when we did that, the speaking, some resources that I remember we shared with Madina, so we talked about using Flipgrid, or what was the other one, VoiceThread, right? Yeah. So that might help, right? So when you assign these tasks so that they have more time. There was another one. Another thing is that when they assume a role, it helps for some introverted people, right? So they say when they're not playing themselves, right? So they are playing somebody else, right? So kind of they feel safer to experiment, to be more confident, right? And I think TikTok in that sense is good. Or another one that we did, we did a session on that. Fantastic, if you know, right? So we did a session on that. So it's they can create kind of cartoons. They can put the characters, and they can make kind of dialogues between them. Right. So yeah, they feel, I think, safer, right? But also, I also noticed when Timur was saying, we as teachers want our students to be extroverts, right? So as you, Maftuna, said, right? Because we love, the extroverts, it's easy to work with them, right? We have that assumption. I think that's also the first step that we have to do, is that eliminate that assumption, right? Saying that they are better learners, right? So anyone can be better, right? It's just it's just easier for us when they extrovert, right? Yeah, thank you. That's great.
Can I read the next question, Andropa?
Yes. Do you have a question? Yeah.
Iroda Zaidazimova is writing, Maftunapa, given that in IELTS courses, teachers usually can select who will be in the group, do you think all students in the same group could have a similar personality type? If so, do you think this could create some positive condition for a teacher? As you have just mentioned, Padropas, Iroda, thank you very much for the question. We are actually, it's easier for us to work with extroverts, but because we can see everything, it's observable, their progress is observable, and it's easier to conduct the classes when everyone is so engaged and when everyone is willing to communicate with the others. It will not cause any problem for us, but I think we cannot choose the students. Yes, we have the right to choose, but we usually rely on their language proficiency level. We usually choose those students who have more similar results. But I think we cannot say just because they are introverts or just because they are extroverts, they have more chances to be in our class. It would be great, of course, if we could do so. It could like ease our like teaching, but I don't think that, because we should justify why we cannot take that person into our group, and if it's for their personality, it would be like discrimination.
Right. And also, like, another thing is the personality of a teacher, right? So, like, you know, not all teachers are extroverts, right? So then, you know, I don't know, the introvert teachers might prefer introverts, right? So like extroverts. So that's also another topic for exploration, right?
But you have more experience. Do you think it's like we can choose like those learners who are more close to our personality?
Well, I think you kind of feel that, I think, right? So like, because it's a chemistry, right? The same like between teacher and learners, right? Whether we want, well, as teachers, we should be impartial, right? We have to be kind of treat everyone the same way, but at the same time, approach them individually, right? So we have to understand the individual students' needs, right, including their personality types, right, individual characteristics, right, and kind of tailor our approaches, methods, tasks to that, right, and being understanding them more, right. That's, I think, the key, right. But it's still on a personality level, right. We still certain things we cannot change it about ourselves too, right. And I think students also feel that, right? And then when they come, say, oh, I like this teacher, oh, I don't like this teacher, right? So they kind of have this chemistry, right, going on, and probably depends on the personality type, right? Sometimes we have like great teachers, but something I don't like, it's not my type, right? So the same in dating, right? So might be a great guy, but something doesn't click. So I think that, but as we are professionals, as I said, so we have to understand each person's needs, right, including their personality types, and try to tailor our approaches to that, encourage everyone. And the same, like I remembered, yes, about the introvert, when we used to do the trainings, teacher training workshops and courses, sometimes I would notice there are some, you know, quiet teachers in our courses, you know, and they were seemingly, I think they are introverts, right? So, and there are some extroverts who would be always, you know, leading, who would be active in discussions, etc. But then once we we were in touch with them even after the courses, these teacher training courses, and I noticed that not always, you know, the ones who were active, they implement what they learned in the teacher training courses, you know. Whereas like some teachers who were very quiet, and we thought maybe they didn't learn much, they didn't have, you know, insight, but then they were the ones who were kind of consistently implementing the things that we taught them, right? Kind of. That was also kind of at that time for me, yeah, you know, sometimes it doesn't mean someone is very active in the classroom and then is he or she's the one who benefits most, right? So yeah, and it also might be the time, right? Some people need more time for processing, right, than others, right? Yeah, human nature is so complicated.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have Firuza? No, I think we lost her. There's one more. Sarvar, Sarvar, would you like to voice your comment? Could you please unmute yourself, and if you want to share your comment?
Okay, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Maftuna, Artikova, and other staff, moderator. Yeah. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. So my comment was, I had a student who was the smartest and who did everything else, even doing extra tasks and more than I was expecting. The problem is that she believed and believes still that she's better than everyone else, and she doesn't get anything from the group work or peer work. She just wants individual attention. And I have put lots of effort to show her that it's important, and still she can learn something. Yeah, we know that she's the best, but it didn't give enough help at all. And I don't believe that forcing her to work in group work is an option. It's not a good thing. So I'm confused. Maybe we shouldn't be some people never get to work in group work in a place where there are not people who are at their level. I don't know, maybe your suggestions, recommendations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the question, Sapar. I see your point. Those students who are reluctant to work in a group just because they have higher language learning, language levels, language proficiency levels, actually might be a bit wrong. And we need to explain them that while they are working in a group, this is not something only they can benefit. This is not only language or ideas they can learn from one another, but as I have just mentioned before, people may have different abilities. When they are working in a group, and at the end of the day, teamwork is one thing that they are expected or supposed to work or to come across anyways when they go to the university or when they go to their workplaces in the future. And we should somehow explain that the importance of the group work is not always learning from the others something, but learning language or ideas. It might be other skills as well, as I have just mentioned. One person might be very good at drawing, or they might be very creative in putting the ideas on the paper, and another person might be very good at critical thinking and analyzing the information, sorting out good ones from bad ones, or at least by this group work, that person who thinks that he has he is better than the others can learn to negotiate with others sometimes and to benefit from the negotiations, because we are not doers of tasks in the future. We should be able to supervise. We should be able to encourage others to work for us. Yes, for this, we need to be able to negotiate, to convince others that what we are asking, what we are actually saying is the correct thing, or this is beneficial for them. We should be able to coming to the agreement with the others, right? These are the skills that they can learn actually by group work. That's it.
Yeah, Thank you very much.
Agree. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Firuza?
Yes,
sure. Can I just comment on this?
Yes, sure.
I absolutely agree that group work, teamwork skills is the essential skill in the 21st century, whether they go in their further studies and in their workplace, right? And it is good to emphasize that and to teach your students, right? But we have to also understand why they feel reluctant, right? Because that's probably their personality, right? So, or maybe they don't have previous experience. Maybe they just don't know what to do when they're working with a pair or in a group, right? So I think in these, we have to, I can think on top of my head, two things. First of all, it's important to give individual time before putting them in pair and group work, so that, each student has the time to work individually first before going into pair or group. They need thinking time, right? For some students, it might take a bit longer than others, right? So therefore, when you put them just immediately into pair or group and they didn't have that thinking time, they might feel what am I doing? I need more time, first of all, to do it myself, right? So that might be one thing. Another thing is maybe assigning roles, right? As Maftuna briefly mentioned, like you may assign some roles, so then they know what to do, what they expected from them, right? So in that case, it might be kind of step-by-step building these teamwork skills, right? Saying you're a timekeeper today, right? Or you are the, I don't know, idea generator, or you are the leader, right? So like giving some, you are the spokesperson, for example, right? So like you have to just listen to everyone, and then you have to summarize everyone's ideas and report to the whole class. So I think it's might be these two things that you may try. Yeah, because we have to understand the reason why they feel reluctant, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Back to Firuza.
Yes, thank you very much for interesting questions and this discussion. It is noticeable that most of the teachers, these participants, are interested in this topic. We have several comments and questions. We can refer them back later after the following question. I think it will be enough for you to hear the question, right? Or can you see the screen? Okay, I will read the question. So what do you think, Maftuna, about the limitations of your research and about the future implications on this topic?
Actually, yes, there are limitations. First of all, sampling size is quite small to make like conclusions. Final conclusions, they were only 20 students there. And another thing is they were not equal members of females and males. They were only 15 females and 5 males. And apart from this, they were not equal representatives of both personality types. They were 16 extroverts and only 4 introverts. And another limitation is while, for example, asking to the while organizing this A-Snake personality questionnaire, we did it using Google. As I have read a lot about these personality inventories, not all of them, the most reliable one was this A-Snake, but the problem is, did they ask all those questions objectively? Because each of these factors can contribute to the different outcomes. Each of these factors can affect the reliability of the research. And in the future, so I think classroom implications we have already discussed it, but in the future, while conducting this kind of research, another thing, yes, one more thing is their language learning experiences. We could not at that time take it another separate variable because we were like limited in time, and there were not so many students that we can use this variable also to exclude the students. Therefore, in the future, when conducting the research, if these limitations are addressed, the outcomes might be more reliable. Thank you.
Thank you, Maftuna, for your very interesting and detailed answer. Well, the last question is about takeaways of today's participants. Using this question, I would like to refer to the questions that I mentioned earlier. The question was from, if I'm not mistaken, Hilola. Do we have Hilola? Hilola, could you unmute yourself and ask your question? It would be more interesting to hear from you rather than being read by me. Yes, Hilola? Well, Hilola Kadirova, yeah. I don't know, due to technical issues, I cannot see the questions.
Can I, Firuza,
yeah.
I can repeat.
Yes, Maftuna, thank you, yes.
So Maftuna, could you talk more about the role of differentiated instructions to motivate introverted learners? Yes, I think I have mentioned it one more. I can mention it one more time as well. We can actually differentiate our learning environments in most cases to motivated introverted learners, to engage them into the process as well by providing them favorable conditions to perform, like assigning peer work or working in a small groups who they feel comfortable with. And another thing might be, this may not be only based on their personality types, based on their interests. We can also assign them individual tasks where they can have enough time to read, write, and think about the topic before actually, whether it's like writing task to put their thoughts into paper, or if it's like speaking task, they will have time to think, organize their ideas, and then answer.
Thank you. Maftuna, can you see more questions?
Yes. Another question is from Sandra. How about then focusing more on students' academic skills rather than their personality while teaching? Would it be wrong to focus on developing their academic skills and some personal qualities like perseverance, grit, motivation, like you mentioned in your article? Okay. Yes, thank you very much for reading the article. Yeah, I'm not like saying that we should not focus on developing their academic skills. Of course, this is our priority, first of all, because that's what we have to do in the first place, like improving their academic skills and cultivating certain features like perseverance, sharpening their other academic skills, and developing their intrinsic motivation, and like shaping this solid study ethic, and like encouraging them to feel responsible for their learnings. These are really very important. But when it comes to dealing with different learners, diverse learners in the classroom, what I am saying is we should also consider personalities in order to provide some learners with equal opportunities to develop their skills. I hope I answered your question.
Okay, Sandra, I hope you are satisfied with Maftuna's response. Yeah, and here Sandra comments about the insightful ideas, Maftuna's ideas in her article. Okay, well, do we have more questions, the participants? You are welcome with more questions if you have any kind of comments. Well, before we conclude today's discussion, right, Nazirapa?
I'm sorry, I was just had something to do. I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Please repeat.
Yeah, I was just about to conclude today's discussion, and I was inviting the participants for last comments or any questions that they might want to ask.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. If anyone wants to, any comments, questions, or you want to share your experience, your reflections.
Thank you. Guzalir Gasheva, yes. It's great that it was everything clear. Yeah, really, the topic is very interesting, and the one which is encountered by most all teachers, right? Starting from school teachers, higher education teachers, yeah. And I believe, Maftuna, you will continue to work on this research question, yeah? And so maybe even you will decide to conduct further research in your PhD courses, right? Okay, yes, Zuhra. Thank you. Thank you too for participating. Okay, yeah, I think everything was clear. So I believe everybody benefited from today's topic. Yeah. Yes. Nilufar, yes, I agree with you. The topic is very interesting. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for participation. Maftuna, thank you once again for joining us, for accepting our invitation. Yeah, Najrapa, thank you for making it happen.
Thank you, Feruza, for hosting, for facilitating this, and thank you, Maftuna, for the great article and for coming and talking to us more about it. And thank you to everyone for being active participants and sharing your experiences, questions, ideas.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep reading EFL in Uzbekistan.
Sure. Yes. Thank you.
See you in further discussion clubs.